Okay, welcome. This is the deep dive. We take the source material, you send us notes, articles, research, and we'll get right into it. Give you the key takeaways.
Helping you get informed fast.
Exactly. So today we're tackling just one word you sent notes on. Pivot.
Hmm.
Seems simple, right? But your material suggests there's quite a bit more packed into it.
It really does. It's a word that seems to pop up everywhere now.
Right. So our mission here is to unpack it, look at its roots, its different uses, and, the nuances it carries, all based strictly on the insights you pulled together.
And looking at your notes, the place to start seems to be the origin. It flags that it comes from the French pivot.
Meaning hinge or
Yes,
axis.
exactly. Hinge or an axis point.
That immediately gives you this really clear picture, doesn't it? Something turning around a fixed point. Feels quite mechanical.
It does, very physical.
Hmm.
And that core idea, the mechanical sense, it's kind of the foundation for everything else, as your notes show. So, as a noun, yeah, it's still that literal rod or point something swings on. But then as a verb,
That's where it gets interesting.
right, it expands. It means to turn, sure, but also something bigger, a significant change in strategy, position, maybe direction.
So definitely more than just like spinning around. Your notes really zero in on a specific aspect of how we use it now.
Hmm.
They highlight this idea that a pivot usually implies a strategic shift or an intentional one. It's not just random, not just reacting without a plan,
That really seems to be the absolute core insight from your material. It's deliberate.
which makes you wonder.
Why pivot? Why not just say change?
Yeah.
Well, your notes suggest it often comes up when adaptation is happening, but under pressure.
Okay. So it wasn't the original plan.
Probably not. It's more like a conscious adjustment because, well, things changed. Circumstances demand a new path.
Like those examples you included in the notes, a conversation that quickly pivoted to politics.
Right. Someone likely steered it there. It wasn't an accident.
Or pivoting a career, finance to nonprofit work,
Yeah.
say. That's a huge redirection, very considered.
Totally. It's not just falling into something new. Or even, physically pivoting your foot in basketball.
Hmm.
That's a specific move.
A required adjustment, yeah, to change direction properly.
Hmm.
And the news examples you found really hammer this home. A company making a successful pivot to a new market.
Or a politician trying to pivot their message after, I don't know, some setback.
Startups having to pivot hard when the first idea doesn't fly. None of these sound accidental.
No, exactly. And connect this back to the bigger picture your notes paint.
Mhm.
Pivot just carries this weight. It signals deliberate decision-making.
Strategic thinking.
Often strategic, yes, and usually in response to some challenge or maybe an opportunity. Even phrases like pivot point or pivot strategy.
They reinforce that idea, a calculated element, a plan for navigating change.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's try to pull this together then, based on your material. We've gone from that French root, the hinge, to how we use it now, as a noun, that central point, and as a verb, this very strategic, intentional shift.
And the really key takeaway your notes stress is that pivot signals purpose. It signals strategy.
Right.
It's a chosen change, of course, maybe under pressure, not
Mhm.
just drifting or reacting.
And we saw that applies across the board in the examples. Careers, companies, conversations, even physical actions. The word is loaded with intent.
Yeah, it really is. Which leaves us, and you, with something to think about. A provocative thought, drawn straight from the material you provided.
Okay.
How does understanding pivot as this intentional strategic shift change how you perceive change, in your own life or when you hear about it in the news or in business?
Mm-hmm.
Does calling something a pivot, does it make it sound more deliberate, maybe more controlled,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps even, I don't know, more admirable than just calling it a change, something to consider